black chin, sometimes a buff-bellied, sometimes a rufous during migration. If you lived in New York, you would get the ruby throat. If you lived in southern Arizona, you get about 12 varieties of hummingbirds on the other side of the Rocky Mountains. If you go to Costa Rica, you go to Ecuador, you may get 200 varieties of hummingbird. Yes?
Where is the best place to put your feeder, something like this?
Well, I like to say, you mean hummingbird feeder?
Out in the open? No, just anywhere.
You want to put them, we feed birds for our benefit. So, put it where you can see them. Okay, you want to put it where you can enjoy the birds the most. And people say, well, what if I go on vacation for 2 weeks? Who's going to feed my birds? The birds aren't going to starve. Birds, we're in Texas, we don't have 2 feet of snow on the ground. Birds will survive in Texas without our help. Now, you do get them in a habit of coming to your house. But if you're only gone for 2 weeks, they'll come back, they'll find you. Birds like to fly around, they know where they've been getting food. Birds have to get used to a feeder. You hang up a new contraption, as far as birds are concerned. Remember, birds have a very poor sense of smell. So it's not like a dog, a cat, a raccoon, anybody else who smells food goes to it. They have to go investigate, find it, follow each other. Yeah, very poor sense of smell.
Bill, back to hummingbirds, we have a handout of the hummingbird plants.
Good.
So if anybody is
Good.
interested in
And on
that.
your feeder there for the hummingbirds, the saucer feeder, will your finches come to it?
House finches have a sweet tooth. Woodpeckers have a sweet tooth. Squirrels like to tip it up and drink it. It's sugar. I mean, it's like kids. You know, often we say, don't make it too sweet. I had a guy come in the store and say, oh, I get a lot of hummingbirds. I mix my solution 2 to 1. And I had to be I looked at it and said, you're killing your hummingbird. Their system is very delicate. Too much sugar is like giving kids too much sugar during the summer and they dehydrate. Same thing for hummingbirds, even more so. No red dye in your nectar. All our feeders have sufficient red on them. Red dye is a mess. I'm old enough to know 30 years ago we found that red dye was bad for us. We worked on it for 3 or 4 years. We came up with a red dye that was good for us, or okay for us. No one ever checked it out on hummingbirds. They have a much more delicate system, so we say don't use it. It's not needed. We don't take the chance. Yes.
On the height of a hummingbird feeder, do they prefer low, high?
Again, it's convenient. I always do everything at high, okay? So I say 5 feet. And put it, again, where it's convenient for you. I hate to see people get on ladders to fill feeders. We have little design hooks that we can hook feeders down. We have customers who have deer. And deer like to get up and hit feeders. We have a little hook, you put a piece of PVC, you can raise your feeder up 15 feet if you want to. Keep that away. So that's just another way of doing it. But cat high, 5 foot. Yes?
Are you seeing more hummingbirds that are wintering over in San Antonio?
We are seeing more hummingbirds that are wintering over, and a lot of it may not be the ones that we had, but it might be some that are migrating from Canada. And boy, they're tired, they stop. This is pretty nice. You know, we have weather during that time of migration that is very pleasant. Hummingbirds have the ability to shut their body down. Ordinarily, we say their heart beats 1,200 times a minute. Their wings flap 80 times a second. But they have the ability to go into a stupor and shut their body down. You think they're dead. Sunshine comes out the next day, they come back to life. So they can survive a couple freezes here, and they do.
Yeah, I had one that made it all winter, and when it was freezing, I was getting up at 4:30 to put out warm juice. And I was just wondering if that was something that was happening more now.
It's happening more now. You can keep it, if you know there's a place where they go, you can hang a light bulb. I have a woman who put a light bulb in her shrubs and by her feeder. It kept it warm enough, and so they had hummingbirds all winter long. Yes, that's a good question. Any other questions or things we've covered I need to get back to? Yes.
Is there anything that squirrels do not you hang it in the shade? The feeder, the hummingbird feeder, should it be like in the shade?
Shade, if you put it in the shade, it's gonna help it weather hot temperatures. I always hang my hummingbird feeders separate from this. There's a little hummingbird pole if you want to. You can stick it in the ground or go in your flower garden. We have people who feed hummingbirds right up on their window. So you can feed them separately. I also feed my goldfinches separately because I bring them up closer to my house. Yes.
Is there anything that sparrows do not like?
I wish. There really isn't. Now, they prefer, if you don't want me at your house every night, don't give me lobster and steak, okay? Go down to something I dislike and I won't come as often. So I would say black oil sunflower, they don't particularly, that's not their preferred seed, and you'll feed fewer sparrows.
And the grackles, how do you get rid of the grackles?
How do you get rid of the grackles? They're blackbirds, you can get rid of them with safflower seed. And get rid of grackles. And I have probably 50 customers that only feed safflower seed because they did not want to buy a squirrel baffle. They didn't want to buy something you can baffle from above, baffle from below. They didn't want to spend a whole lot of money on a feeder, so they feed safflower seed. And they have all the cardinals, all the titmice chickadees they want. Now I'm going to show you. What's that? Black oil sunflower. Safflower is, oh wait, safflower keeps getting lost.
Over here. Nope, that's it.
I think you put it over here.
Here we go. It's a white seed.
Spelling, do you want to spell spelling? How do you spell it too?
Safflower. Now, I'm going to show you a feeder that is probably the best feeder we've had in the store in a long time. Some of you have this feeder. This closes with squirrels. It closes with doves. It will feed cardinals and all my smaller birds. I twist this to decide who I want to feed. I'm putting pressure or taking pressure off the spring. Don't have to buy a baffle. The only thing we caution people with this feeder are raccoons. If you find your feeders on the ground in the morning, you have raccoons. The way to stop that, at least, well, you can stop it with this. This is a raccoon baffle. This works great. Or you can tie, those of you ladies who are old enough will remember what clotheslines look like. Okay? You tie a horizontal line from one tree to another, or one surface to another, hang your feeders from that horizontal line. Raccoons tend not to go out on the horizontal line. Squirrels will, but we can deal with squirrels. And we'll stop you from taking your feeders in every night to keep the raccoons away. Now, this feeder, this is probably, we sell these 2 to 1 in the store. People, we know they're good because people are buying them for their parents now, they're buying them for their daughters because they work so good for them. We repair these free of charge in the store.
How much
So,
are they?
These are $89.99. And all the damage that we repair, frankly, 99% of it is raccoon damage.
What is that called? What is the name of that feeder?
This is called the Eliminator. I have a one of my employees gets confused, he calls it the exterminator, but it's not the exterminator, it's the eliminator.